The drama begins with Alice, a beautiful high school girl who lives kind of distracted between her crushes and her terrible grades. One day she goes up to the school rooftop to look for her childhood best friend, Jung, and finds him sunk in sadness. He rests his head on her shoulder and tells her that his girlfriend left him to get engaged to a newly transferred student. Alice, who has been secretly in love with Jung for years, feels happy inside to have him close. But on the outside she does what she can to comfort him and encourage him to move on. As he vents, anger gets the better of him. Jung says his ex traded him for the new student and his ego can't handle it. So he asks Alice for something twisted. He wants that guy, Palma, to fall in love with her so she can break his heart and get revenge. Alice freezes at the plan. It seems cruel to her and at first she refuses. But Jung insists so much, playing on the trust she has in him, that in the end she agrees. He hugs her gratefully, his mood lifting instantly, and he starts joking again, while Alice stays there thinking how the hell she's going to seduce the most popular and distant guy in school. Before coming up with something serious, Alice tries a first impulsive approach. One day she stays alone in the classroom, sees Drake asleep at his desk, and decides to get closer. She's so nervous that, as soon as she reaches his side, he opens his eyes and ends up with his face pressed right next to hers. Drake, confused, asks what she wants and Alice, not knowing what to say, blurts out any excuse and runs off, pretending she was only tying her shoes. Later, she follows him after class and, when he stops short, she ends up crashing into his back. Alice takes a deep breath, blurts out that now they're in a relationship, counts to 5 in her head and announces that they're already broken up, leaving Drake completely stunned and not understanding anything. That ridiculous scene helps her confirm 2 things. That he's hard to read and that she, if she doesn't get organized, will end up embarrassing herself again and again. The next day, Alice tells everything to her best friend Aya. Aya, who takes everything like a TV drama, gets excited about the mission and gives her the first info. The mysterious transfer student is named Palma. He's insanely handsome. He's always asleep in class, but even so he gets the best grades and ranks first on every exam. All the girls sigh over him, try to get close, but the moment they do, he ignores them. Alice realizes this revenge won't be easy at all, even though she pretends confidence so she won't look like a coward. When she finally sees Drake walking down the hallway, Alice goes blank. He's even more attractive than they told her, with that cold, nothing matters to me, attitude. She tries to catch his attention with looks and cute gestures, but he doesn't even register her. Frustrated, she goes back home repeating to herself that the task will be impossible. In front of the mirror she practices smiles, poses, and rehearsed lines. She even hangs photos of Drake all over her room, making it clear that it's not just an assignment anymore. She also truly admires him. Her mother interrupts her fantasies to call her to dinner, and her father, who is almost never around, shows up with a gift and the same speech as always. He wants her to focus on her studies and get into a good university. Alice gets nervous because she hates studying and always ranks near the bottom, but she promises she'll try. At school, Alice and Aya decide to follow Drake to find out what he likes and what he hates. They watch him from far away, thinking they'll find some dark secret, but the only thing he does in his free time is go to a secluded spot to sleep. Alice panics. None of what she practiced helps. Just when she's about to give up, another student beats her to it, hands Drake a rose, and confesses she wants to be his girlfriend in front of everyone. He accepts without emotion, lets the girl get her hopes up for a few seconds, and then, in front of her friends, dumps her coldly, making it clear he only did what she asked so she could brag. The girl walks away embarrassed, while he goes back to sleeping like nothing happened. Alice is shocked by the scene and concludes that Drake is arrogant, conceited, and basically impossible to make fall in love. On the way back to the classroom, she keeps watching him to try to figure him out, so much that the teacher calls on her several times and she doesn't even notice. The teacher, fed up with seeing her distracted, scolds her in front of everyone and sends her to the student affairs office as punishment. Her classmates laugh and she dies of embarrassment. There, the supervisor decides to lock Alice in the lab until the end of the day so she can reflect. She gets scared, but her expression changes when they tell her Jung is also punished there. Right away she sees the punishment as an opportunity. In the lab, Jung sits there with a long face, thinking about his ex. Alice sits beside him, tries to cheer him up, and makes time pass faster. Jung is grateful that she's always there to support him and, in a moment of affection, he gives her his watch so she can remember him. When the punishment ends, they leave together, but as they cross the hallway they hear Jung's ex bragging to her friends that she's now engaged to Drake and that she'll even have a date with him. Jung collapses instantly, apologizes to Alice because he won't be able to go with her that day, and leaves with a broken heart. Alice watches his back, powerless, and in that moment she decides she will go through with the plan. She'll make Drake fall in love with her, no matter what it takes, to avenge Jung's heart. even if that means putting her own at risk. From then on, Alice starts following Drake more seriously. One day she trails him home and is surprised to discover he lives in a huge mansion, confirming he comes from a wealthy family. She hides behind a tree to watch him and sees him talking with his father and his stepmother. In the middle of it, Drake spots her, walks over, and, to her horror, takes her by the hand and brings her straight in front of his family. Alice thinks he's going to expose her for stalking him, but instead, Drake calmly announces that she is his girlfriend. His father is thrilled, says it's the first time his son has brought someone home, and welcomes her. The stepmother, on the other hand, stays cold and distant, which makes Alice even more nervous. After an awkward dinner, she says goodbye and rushes out. The visit becomes even stranger when Drake's father, delighted by the idea that his son finally has a partner, gives them both matching little accessories, almost like couple rings, and jokes that he'd like to see them married someday. Alice smiles out of obligation, knowing it all started as a revenge plan, but she feels a sting in her chest imagining it for real. Drake, for his part, shows no emotion, but he doesn't deny anything either, as if he's comfortable with the world seeing them together. That mix of lie and reality starts confusing Alice even more. The next day, Alice arrives at school happy because, even though everything started as a lie, she's already been introduced as Drake's girlfriend in front of his family. Aya notices her goofy smile and, hearing the story, nearly screams with excitement. But when Alice says out loud that she's engaged to Drake, several classmates hear her and laugh, thinking she's lying. Right at that moment, Drake walks into the classroom. Alice fears he'll embarrass her in front of everyone like he did with the other girl, but he walks past, sits in his seat, and falls asleep like always. Alice sighs in relief. At least he didn't deny anything. Things get complicated when Alice starts noticing strange things between Drake and his stepmother. During a lunch at his house, which the father invites them to, Aya is impressed by the food and acts like she's in a luxury restaurant. Alice takes the chance to ask questions, but Drake shuts down. He only mentions that his biological mother died when he was little and that his father remarried. Aya, who is more curious, sees something suspicious under the table. Drake holding the stepmother's hand. She chooses not to say anything out loud, but later tells Alice, who is left with doubts and a fixed idea in her head. Something is off in that house. Meanwhile, at school they announce a cooking activity. The class is split into pairs and fate decides to pair Alice with Drake. Alice gets excited because she loves cooking thanks to her mom, while Drake proves he has no idea what he's doing. She makes a perfect cake and goes to change for a moment, but when she comes back she discovers he ruined it, tried to claim it as his, and they ended up wrestling until it fell to the floor. Angry, she makes it clear she's not a sweet girl anyone can manipulate. Even so, she's forced to help him make 2 new cakes at top speed. They work together, follow the instructions, and manage to finish the desserts, though the teacher deducts points for being late. Later, Alice sees from afar how Drake takes one of the cakes to his stepmother and hugs her. The scene reinforces her suspicions and leaves her full of confusing jealousy. From then on, Alice starts watching Drake's life even more closely. When the teacher announces a graduation project in groups of 3, she rushes to write her name and Aya's, and without asking permission she also adds Drake's name, taking advantage of the fact that he's asleep. Her idea is to keep him close to understand him better. Aya, meanwhile, keeps getting closer to Kent, another handsome, intelligent student who seems genuinely interested in her. Meanwhile, Alice gets more and more tangled in her own plan. She no longer knows if she's still chasing Drake for Young's revenge or because she's truly falling for him. One day, during a student council meeting that all 3 are called to, Alice finds Drake alone, sprawled on a couch, with a fever and completely exhausted. He barely reacts when she tries to wake him. Worried, Alice puts cold compresses on his forehead, fixes his clothes, and stays by his side until his temperature starts to go down. Exhaustion wins and she falls asleep beside him. When Drake wakes up and realizes what she did for him, he understands that Alice isn't like the other girls who only chase him for his looks. There's something genuine in the way she cares for others. Soon after, Aya manages to get Alice and Drake to spend even more time together. She invites him to her house using the project as an excuse, but actually locks the bedroom door to leave them trapped inside. While Alice tries to grab a book from a high shelf, the bookshelf wobbles and almost falls on her. Drake wakes up startled, catches her in time, and sits her on the couch. Seeing she's hurt, he puts ice on her head so she won't get a mark. Alice blushes and can't stop watching him up close, feeling her heart speed up. Just when things start to soften, the stepmother comes in to announce food and the moment breaks. In parallel, Alice's studies are still a disaster. When the teacher hands out the exam results, she gets a terrible score and sinks in embarrassment. The teacher announces a new system. Students with good grades will tutor those who did worst. Alice goes pale when she sees her name paired with Drake's on the board. She feels like fate is conspiring to put them together again and again. At home, her family celebrates that she finally seems to take school seriously, not knowing her real motivation is to not look dumb in front of Drake. Their relationship takes a big leap with the arrival of the school party. Alice ends up pulled into a challenge with Young's ex. She promises she'll attend the party with Drake, and if she can't, she'll be humiliated. When she finally asks Drake to go with her, he refuses without much drama and leaves her hanging. Alice breaks down, thinks she lost the bet, and goes home defeated, only to find Young waiting for her at the door. He, having finally broken things off with his ex for good, asks Alice to be his date to the party. She, who loved him for years, gets excited and accepts. Her mother, a world-class fashion designer, makes her a gorgeous dress, perfect for the occasion, and Alice dreams of a magical night. But at the last minute, Young doesn't show up. Alice is left standing there, dressed up, with her heart tight. Just when she's about to give up on the party, Drake arrives at her house impeccably dressed and offers to go with her. Alice is in shock. She can't believe how good he looks or that he's there at her door. He opens the car door for her and takes her to school. At the party, everyone stares. The girls are dying of jealousy, photographers surround them, and Drake wraps an arm around her shoulders to pose as if they were a real couple. Alice floats with happiness, feeling that for the first time he sees her differently, even though she still refuses to admit what she feels. During the celebration, 3 girls try to get close to Drake, flirting shamelessly and trying to pull him away from Alice. She, full of jealousy, stands beside him and declares she's his girlfriend. He pulls away, walks off, and leaves her alone, triggering the other girls' teasing. Alice feels like her world is collapsing, but Drake, seeing her so humiliated, regrets it. He takes her hand, leads her to the center of the floor, and starts dancing with her. Alice trembles because everyone is watching, but he speaks to her calmly and makes her feel special. He even takes the time to compliment her dress and her effort. For her, that dance becomes a silent confirmation that something real exists between them. Over time, the relationship keeps growing, but so do misunderstandings. A group of jealous girls plays a cruel prank on Alice. They lure her to a dark storage room pretending someone is interested in her, and then they lock her in. Alice, scared, calls for help. Drake hears the screams, goes in to rescue her, but a worker closes the door without seeing him, trapping both of them inside. He puts on a mask so she won't recognize him and, from the darkness, promises he won't leave her alone. Alice, thinking she's with a stranger, defends herself, demands he take it off, and ends up spilling everything she's been holding in. She says Drake can be arrogant, but she also saw his kind side and that she likes him precisely because of that strange mix. The night passes with them talking until she falls asleep, and at dawn Drake carries her on his back and takes her home. When Alice's family sees them arrive like that, a scandal breaks out. Her mother, worried and angry because she spent the night out, punishes her and takes her phone away. After calmly explaining everything, Drake takes responsibility and confirms he was with her to protect her. Even so, trust at home is a bit shaken. From then on, their relationship shifts into something more serious. Drake's father sees them as a real couple, Alice's father starts looking at him differently, and the entire school watches them as if they're the center of an endless romantic drama. As the story moves toward graduation, new characters appear and complicate everything. Kent, a kind, hard-working guy, genuinely likes Aya and treats her like a princess, something she never felt with previous suitors. Young, on the other hand, stays trapped between his ex and jealousy toward Drake. More than once, he confronts Drake and demands he stay away from Alice, accusing him of being selfish and cold. Drake, proud, answers that he also likes Alice and he doesn't plan on letting her go so easily. The only clear thing is that Alice has become the center of everyone's emotional storm. After graduation, the story jumps to university life. Alice and Drake, now older, try to maintain their relationship as each starts a new stage. At university, Alice feels small and lost. There she meets John, Drake's cousin, a laid-back guy who hates being compared to him and prefers studying art. John shows up every time Alice gets into trouble. He helps her when a bully classmate spills coffee on her, takes her shopping for new clothes, rides with her on his motorcycle, and makes her laugh when she feels like everything is falling apart. Without realizing it, Alice starts leaning on him just as her relationship with Drake enters a more complicated phase. Little by little, John also gets more attached than he should. At home they compare him to Drake all the time, the model grandson who gets the best grades, while all he cares about is art. Tired of hearing that he's mediocre next to his cousin, he decides to prove to himself he can shine in his own way and doubles down on his projects. Watching Alice fight for her dreams gives him courage, and without meaning to, he starts seeing her as more than a friend. Every time he sees her argue on the phone with Drake or show up with puffy eyes from crying, he feels a mix of anger and helplessness. He knows that as long as she's still in love, his role is to support her in silence. But deep down he wonders how long he can stand being only the emergency plan who picks her up when everything breaks. Drake, meanwhile, carries a heavy secret, a childhood friend whom Alice and Aya nickname the Witch, a girl with depression who has tried to hurt herself more than once. Every time she's in danger, Drake runs to help her, and that makes it look like he's choosing her over Alice. The worst moment comes on Alice's 18th birthday. The family throws a huge party, she gets ready with excitement, and she only waits to see him walk through the door. But Drake doesn't show up. He spends the night dealing with a serious self-harm attempt from his childhood friend and can't explain himself in time. Alice only sees his absence and feels her heart break completely. From there, everything falls apart. John, who has been watching that relationship's ups and downs, becomes the shoulder Alice cries on. He takes her to museums, to campus, for walks, always listening to her complaints about Drake and holding back her tears. At the same time, Drake keeps appearing and disappearing, trapped between his sense of responsibility toward his sick friend and the love he feels for Alice. Misunderstandings pile up until, at an amusement park, Alice sits in front of Drake, exhausted by everything, and tells him that if he doesn't love her anymore, he should say it clearly and they should end things. He apologizes, admits he didn't realize how much she was suffering, but she feels it's not about not knowing, it's about not wanting to know. The breakup seems final when Drake sets up a movie-like scene, a path of candles, a special night, and a kind of late confession. Alice walks between the lights, finds him waiting, and hears everything he has to say, but her heart is already worn out. She reminds him of every time he left her aside, every wound that built up, and tells him she doesn't want to see him again. She leaves in tears, this time convinced it's the end. Drake stays frozen, finally understanding that excuses aren't enough anymore. Fate, however, doesn't let them stay apart completely. Alice's parents buy her a small apartment near the university so she can live alone, and she discovers, horrified, that it's in the same building and on the same floor as the apartment Drake's father sent him to when he kicked him out after the family fights. Alice tries to avoid him, but it's almost impossible. He talks to her every time he sees her, insists she give him a chance to explain, and repeats that she's the only person who truly matters to him. John, seeing that no matter how hard he tries, Alice's heart keeps returning to Drake, decides to step back with dignity and accept he will never be able to take that place. While all that is happening, the bomb also goes off in the Palma house. Drake's stepmother reveals she's pregnant just as the father, poisoned by misunderstandings and crossed comments, starts suspecting betrayal. The arguments escalate. Drake admits through tears that he reached for her hand in desperation, but denies there's anything more. Things spiral out of control. The father believes the worst, and ends up kicking out both his wife and his own son, promising to buy him an apartment so he can live apart. Alice, who witnesses part of that chaos, tries to mediate, but all she can see is Drake's pain, trapped between the memory of his late mother and the family breaking apart right in front of his eyes. The final straw comes when Alice's mother decides to send her to study abroad with her brother, intending to separate her from so much drama. When Drake finds out, he goes into full desperate mode. One day Alice wakes up and finds him in her apartment making her breakfast, as if the door code had always been his. He speaks calmly, promises he'll do everything possible to earn her forgiveness, and this time he decides to take her to a place he only shows to important people, his mother's grave. In front of the headstone, Drake finally lets his guard down. He tells her that the witch is his childhood friend, that she suffers from severe depression, that she wears bracelets to cover scars, and that on Alice's birthday she had a very serious attempt, which is why he disappeared. He admits that from the outside everything looks dark and suspicious, but insists he never cheated on her. He simply didn't know how to tell her something so delicate without betraying that girl's privacy. Alice listens, hurt, but understands there's a deeper story behind it all. He puts a chain around her neck, as a promise that he wants a future with her, and jokingly says that at 28 he plans to propose. Alice makes fun of how long he wants to make her wait, but deep down her heart starts to soften again. He tells her that if she wants married benefits, she should at least hold on until she's 21, and she threatens to give him a good hit if he keeps talking like that in the cemetery. Between that mix of seriousness and play, the two of them slowly reconcile. She asks him that next time he shouldn't stay silent, that he should put pride aside and talk when something is tearing him apart inside. Drake promises he'll try, even though he knows changing his cold nature will be his biggest challenge. The ending of the drama shows everyone taking different paths. John gets ready to study abroad and says goodbye to Alice, left with the comfort of having loved her honestly. The witch decides to go far away to recover and stop using Drake as an emotional crutch. Aya and Kent solidify their relationship, proving that a calmer, steadier love also exists. Alice, on her side, faces the decision of traveling to the United States with her family or staying close to Drake. They end up agreeing that even if she leaves for a while, they'll stay connected, that they'll study, grow, and then meet again. On the rooftop where it all began, Alice and Drake meet one last time before the trip. He reminds her of the day he saw her crying over Young and how he never imagined she would end up being the most important person in his life. She gives him a pair of simple rings for him to wear while they're apart so the other girls know his heart already belongs to someone. Drake, with his typical humor, says he'll make sure to kiss her so much in the days they have left that it makes up for all the years he's going to miss her. Between laughter, tears, and slightly exaggerated promises, they stay hugged, looking at the sky. And so, with a kind of crazy pact but full of affection, the story of Seducing Drake Palma closes this stage. Not with a perfect ending, but with two young people who have learned to love with all their flaws, to apologize, and to bet on a future together, even if the road is still complicated. End of the drama.